Good evening and welcome to the meeting of the Whitehouse ISD Board of Trustees. I call this meeting to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that the meeting has been duly called, and that notice of the meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Government Codes, Chapter 551. The board will now convene into executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074 through 551.084. We are adjourned. Pledge.
One of our 5th grade student council members, one of our superstar students. So go ahead, Grace.
I pledge allegiance to the flag.
Help her with the microphone.
Go ahead and start over.
Perfect.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Much. Tonight's brief introductory remarks will be given by Mrs. Conaway.
Please bow with me. Heavenly Father, I thank you for this day. God, thank you for this district and this city. Pray that you would be with us and help us to make decisions that are in the best interest of all those that we serve. It's in your holy and precious name I pray. Amen.
Taylor, have you introduced Mr. Dean again and his staff for the Lone Star Award?
Yes, absolutely. Well, tonight we are going to recognize Stanton Smith as the Lone Star Ribbon recipient for Whitehouse ISD. Tonight, Stanton Smith is going to be represented by Principal Greg Dean and Assistant Principal Brittany Garrett. So if you two could join me up here, please. So last spring, we learned that Stanton Smith was nominated to be a Blue Ribbon school as a result of their exemplary academic performance. They submitted the application and were selected as a Blue Ribbons recipient, only for that program to be transferred down to the state level leadership, now known as the Lone Star Ribbon schools. Tonight we celebrate this achievement for Stanton Smith as one of only 25 schools in the over 10,800 schools in the state of Texas to receive this honor. So we have a banner tonight to present to Stanton Smith recognizing your achievement, as well as a plaque honoring you as an inaugural Lone Star Ribbon campus. Same, yes.
Ribbon and a banner that says Blue Ribbon, because you got both, sir. So congratulations. Congratulations, man. Congratulations.
Maybe we'll get back here.
Well, congratulations again. That really is in rare company. So, well done, well done. We did not have anyone sign up for open forum this evening, so it takes us to our information items. And first off, we'll have Mr. Hutchins and the Whitehouse ISD Education Foundation.
That's on me.
Hi, Kelly Flanagan. Nice to see you guys this year's
You
president.
don't look like Mr. Hutchins.
No.
She's
This
way
is Chad. He's coming up here too. He's the VP of grants. Good to see so many of y'all who have actually been on the Education Foundation and several past presidents. So thank y'all for serving and your commitment as school board members to the Education Foundation. Since 12 years, we have given over $1 million away, which is amazing to the teachers. So let's just start by reading our mission. Our mission is to connect our community to support, promote, and inspire educators by funding imaginative and creative opportunities in Whitehouse ISD. And our vision is an engaged community where inspired educators and exceptional opportunities are available to all students. And then Chad's going to tell us a little bit about this year and what we were able to fund.
All right. So yes, this year, usually how it works is the previous year, the money that we raise through the community members, business owners, teachers, parents, anyone in the community that's involved. Things we raised last year is what we're able to give to the teachers this year, to their grants. And so this year we're able to give away over $127,000, which is the most by far we've ever given away. It's 23% increase over last year, and last year was a huge year for us. A lot of that's due to our spring celebration of innovation event we have. The fundraising there was significantly more than we've done in the past. And so a lot to give away this year, so it's a pretty exciting year. Another thing that may not be known is that when the founders started the foundation, they put aside 10% each year of the raised funds towards an endowment. Right now, we've just crossed the 100,000 mark on that, and we've properly put into an endowment fund to start making money on that endowment. We don't know what we're going to do with it yet. That's still kind of up for discussion, and maybe we just keep growing it till it has significant returns that we can do something with. So big numbers, it's great. Big numbers are good. So we have 3 grant cycles throughout the year. The one we just completed is our fall grant cycle. And so that ended on Halloween, October 31st, with our surprise patrol. And many of you in the community and maybe on the board have been to the surprise patrol, and it's a blast. We have giant checks with several community members, board members. We have the band with us, drum line, cheerleaders, first ladies. We come to all the campuses and make a big ruckus and give away a lot of money. And so it's a fun day. It's an exciting day. It gets everyone excited and hyped up for just things that the teachers wouldn't normally be able to do. Now they're like, we got our money, we can do this awesome thing in the classroom now. So this year we gave away over $92,000 for the fall grants, and that was across 36 grants. And that's a 38% increase over the previous year, and 20% more grants were funded. Again, just more money to give away this year, and we're able to spread it even further. One thing that we have pushed the last couple of years is our community partners. And so we've asked the teachers, like, hey, if you can get the community involved on certain ideas, see if they'll put in financially, if they can get behind an idea, and that they get points for that on their graded rubric. And so this year, the teachers themselves raised over $14,000 for their grants. They went out to the community and said, hey, will you fund this thing? And so that's a really neat thing. So just a few graphs here, just to kind of show you the campus breakdown. Pretty even across the board. Brown went a little crazy this year, and they wrote a lot of grants and received a lot of grants. But this is pretty typical of what we've seen with Brown maybe overperforming there.
And it is an anonymous process, though, so when the graders go through, they don't know which campus it's from.
And then this is grants granted by grade level. So you can see the early years, and this is pretty much what it looks like every year. The elementary schools have a lot more grants than the older grades, just due to the ideas that come up, and I don't know, it's pretty typical of what we've seen. And like I said, we have other grant cycles that are going on throughout the year. I just want to speak to those real quick. We have the on-the-spot grants. That was new last year. And this is something that's maybe a teacher has a need that comes up that's just, it's not in the fall grants, not in the spring grants, but they need money now to help them. And so it's something that's very time sensitive. They can ask for up to $1,000, and we can approve it within just a few days. Last year's great example of this was a vision impaired student at one of the elementary schools. Just as school was starting, the teacher found out that she was going to have that student and had nothing to help her with. And so they wrote an on-the-spot grant, got all sorts of cool materials to help a visually impaired student, and it was a great celebration. The student had all sorts of things that she could have that will carry through with her through her entire elementary experience. Wildcat Den, that's this spring, and so applications for that will open this month. Wildcat Den's fun. It's not a written application competition like the fall is. This is like the show Shark Tank. It's live judges. They put in applications. We picked some finalists, and then one Saturday in February, February 7th, actually we'll get up on stage and they'll present to live judges, and they get grilled by the judges and ask questions, and then judges go off into the secret room and talk about who's going to fund what, and then we come back out and see who's getting the money. So it's a really fun event. Opportunities to get involved. So coming up recently is Tuesday, December 2nd. So after all the turkey and Black Friday madness, Giving Tuesday is a day that a lot of organizations around East Texas will be saying, hey, if you want to give now, this is the day you can give. And so we do participate in that, and that's December 2nd. You'll see more information about that as it comes along. Our celebration of innovation this year, you can save this date, it's February 27th, and this year we're at the W.T. Brookshires Conference Center there in Tyler. The event is Denim and Pearls, but it's always a fun event. Lots of people there, lots of good food, lots of good company, fun auction opportunities, live auctions. It's just a really fun fundraising event for our group. But if you want to go to this year, tickets will be on sale later this year. And if you're interested in sponsorships, underwriting, silent auction opportunities are all available. That's all I got. But happy to answer any questions with the board. And just thank you so much for your support. It's so much fun to be involved with this group. And I'm glad we're able to have the impact that we're able to have. But if you have any questions, we're here.
Either one of you have a favorite grant that y'all gave out this year?
Favorite grant. Looking back at my team here.
The high school did a SWAT team program, Officer Lemons, so that's really cool. They're starting that for his criminal justice program. So I'm excited about that. Was that the one you
My
said?
son's back there. He said the silent disco grant. So I don't know if everybody's been to a silent disco, but you go to, everybody has headphones on, you can't hear anything, but there's a DJ or two that's playing certain songs, and if you're in there looking at it, not without headsets, it's just completely quiet, but you see all these kids just dancing around having fun. So it's a really fun, it'll be a really fun one. So yeah, James is looking forward to that one.
There's a lot of really good ones this year, so it's fun and exciting.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Kelly, thanks for your leadership, and thanks for all your work on it and all that the board does for it, because it's a huge boon to the district, and it seems like it just gets better and bigger every single year. So that's awesome. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, and we're back to Mr. Dean again. So Dr. Taylor's going to introduce. Yes, exactly. So and your
I'm just putting you in focus.
your RTI teachers.
All right, well, no stranger to tonight's meeting, Mr. Dean. He's going to come back up here in a second. But before he does, I just want to say, when you ask some of the Stanton Smith staff what contributes to their success, a lot of the team is going to say that the hard work of the RTI team is part of what sets their students up to be successful. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Dean, who's going to introduce his team, and they're going to tell you a little bit about what they do.
Well, I agree with Dr. Taylor. These two here are a major factor to our success. How long have you been at Stanton now, Ms. Hand?
This will be my 10th year.
And Ms. Meeks, you've been here 11?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Ms. Hand is our K through 2 RTI teacher. Ms. Meeks is 3 through 5. And they are a joy to work with. Do a lot of amazing things at Stanton Smith, so we're going to try to give you a picture of that. So Ms. Hand, why don't you start off by telling us what a day in the life of an RTI teacher looks like?
Okay, so thank you for having us.
Yeah,
We are so
absolutely.
happy to be here. One of the things I love about Whitehouse is how well they care for teachers and for students. I feel that personally, but also I feel like professionally, intervention is one of the ways that we truly care for and love our students. I like to describe RTI or intervention to someone who has never heard of it or knows what it is as sort of like a healthcare unit. Now, I realize that some of you are very real doctors, so I hope this analogy goes well, but I feel like it's sort of like a healthcare unit. Every single student who walks through our doors gets kind of a full workup, a full line of assessments. We look at them academically, we look at their vision, we look at their hearing, we talk to their parents, we talk to the experts, and one of the things that Sarah and I get to do is sort of gather all of that information and sort of make sure that our students are the healthiest version of themselves. Our day-to-day life really looks like finding those students who are struggling a little bit, identifying their needs and where they are struggling, and then developing and implementing a plan to care for them Now, sometimes, if a student is really struggling, it looks less like a healthcare unit and more like an ER or a hospital. Sort of like after COVID, a lot of our kids were really, really struggling. And we had to give them some more intense interventions, and that's what we do too. So we do sort of the healthcare unit and the ER. I like to think that Stanton Smith and Whitehouse, our intervention program is more like a healthcare unit and less like a hospital, which is a really great place to be. And we are so grateful because I think that's what sets Whitehouse apart from other districts is really you guys and the staff and the teachers really help our kids, and we are able to help them be the best, healthiest version of themselves.
Okay, so Ms. Meek, tell us a little bit about the benefit of RTI.
There's a lot. I could go on and on, but Clint told me I only had a few minutes. So there's a quote that rings true kind of in our world that I've always thought about ever since I started RTI, and it's by Maya Angelou, and she said, you know, they're not going to remember what you said. They're not going to remember what you did, but they are going to remember how you made them feel. And so with the types of students that come through our class daily, that is so true. They really have to feel that love and support, and really they just need someone to believe in them. There's many times that, you know, we get these children and they come in and really they just needed confidence. You know, maybe they didn't need a full workup like Michelle said, but they absolutely needed the confidence. And sometimes when they get that, man, they just blossom, they grow. And so really, there's so many benefits, but I would say probably the biggest is just getting to show these students that we love them, that we care for them, and then the rest just normally comes after that.
Here's your first curveball.
First
Along the
curveball.
same
He told
lines
us
of what
he was
Ms.
going to
Meeks
do
was
that.
saying, something that you do at the end of every one of your groups that I think is just really powerful is you have the students recite 3 little things. Could you share with the board what those 3 things are?
They can recite it if you walk into my room, and you guys can come anytime. They say, I'm surrounded by love. And like on Mondays, we say, who loves you? And they'll say, Mr. Dean, you know, you love it, you know. And we go through all the people. And then they say, I can do hard things, and we've all heard that before. But I think the biggest thing is that they say, I'm proud of myself. And the reason they are proud of themselves is because they do the hard thing. And we list the hard things that they've done. I mean, especially our students, the ones that are struggling, the ones that have a hard time in the classroom and that feel the way they do. When they come to us and they learn that when they do those hard things, that's what makes us proud and that they're loved in that. I mean, come on, we tell that. I mean, I tell myself that that sometimes. I'm surrounded by love. I can do hard things. I'm proud of myself. And if they can believe that as a student, I mean, and they have that in their head, I mean, that's what it's all about. So.
That's very powerful. Talk a little bit about how your work impacts student success.
Okay, so this is a question we wish all of our teachers were standing here to get their take on it. Because we truly are able to support not only the students, but the teachers as well. We all know that teachers have a million things on their plates. And so, you know, even if it's taking that child from the classroom to remove the distractions for that child, or whether we're meeting with the child one-on-one, we truly are able to alleviate that pressure from our teachers. And we are able to do things that our teachers just absolutely can't do alone. I'm going to quote you, Dr. Whittle. Leadership equals to create an environment where everyone can do their best work. And so we want to do that, obviously, for our students, but we also want to do that for our teachers as well. And I think that, like I said, if you could ask them, they truly, truly, truly believe in our intervention program. And they're thankful that we are there to do the things that they can't all do by themselves. So.
Okay, last question for me is, how does the work you do support both teachers and students?
Oh, I think that we just answered that one. Right?
Well, we can, yes, But also we have a proven track record of success. I shouldn't say this out loud, but a track record of success. I'm going to toot Sarah's horn. She doesn't toot it very often. But we are sort of data nerds. I mean, I think that's kind of nerdy to say that, but we are.
No, we are.
And we have really tracked data over the last 9, 10 years in intervention. And we've been able to see that, like through our MAP data, students came into Stanton Smith, kindergartners came in below the district norm. And year after year, they would leave us above the district norm in 5th grade. Sarah does 3rd through 5th grade, which, what does that equal? Star. If you are in our intervention program, we truly believe you are going to be the best version of yourself. And Sarah, we've looked back, almost every single one of her students over the years has passed the star. We looked at 98%. So between the two of us, we see 80 to 90 students per year. And so maybe that's one every other year that doesn't pass. I mean, that's incredible.
But we catch them early. So yes, she's giving credit to me, but credit goes to her as well because we're catching them early and we're intervening early. You know, and so it's a team effort. Yeah.
That was the question I was looking for. All right.
We knew it.
That's all.
Good job, Mr. Lee.
How does it work from a mechanical standpoint? How do you identify the kids that need it? And then when you do identify them, how much time do they spend with you? Is it, do they come and go, or is it, are they once in, are they in for a while? Or?
Yes, as long as they need to be is the answer.
Right.
Ideally, it's until they are back on grade level and we feel confident releasing them. But we gather all that data. We have massive spreadsheets, and we identify how many red flags do they have. And the students with several red flags, we sit together in a group with teachers. We gather parent information. We sit with administrators, and we say, okay, this student looks all of a sudden like they're struggling. What's going on? And we really pinpoint it. We say, do they need intervention? Yes. And then usually it's about 30 minutes a day, 4 days a week. It can be 20 minutes. It can be in a small group. It can be one-on-one. It really depends on the student and what they need and what we decide as kind of a group team. It's a team effort. I mean, it's incredible that I've never been in a district that we have these teams that form around students. So if you send your child to any student in Whitehouse, really, but at Stanton Smith, if they are struggling, it's not just going to be the classroom teacher that says, what can I do? It is literally a team of people that come around and say, okay, what is going on? We need to figure this out. How are we going to, you know, fix it, not fix it, but help this child be the best they can be, and then we do it.
And it's like we always say, we constantly have multiple sets of eyes, and they may not be in our intervention yet. We're watching others that are maybe on the border, so we can say, hey, you know, oh my goodness, what's happening with this certain particular student? So we're constantly just checking in and making sure that every student does not go unnoticed.
She said no stone unturned
No
the other day.
stone
And I'm like,
unturned.
we look at every single student. No student will fly under the radar.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That is
Thank y'all for
fantastic.
having us.
So
Appreciate it.
all the work. Thank you, ladies.
Thanks.
All right, Dr. Taylor, while you're there, talk about grading guidelines.
Absolutely. Let me pop back up here.
Yeah, right. Seems that no one was interested in grading guidelines. So.
Oh, man. Y'all are going to miss the good stuff.
Kelly's sticking with it.
All right, well, Dr. Robbie, Dr. Whittle, and trustees, tonight I'm going to give a brief update on the state of our grading guidelines in the district, both to just help us understand where they come from and the future work that we're doing around grading in the district. So when we think about grades and how that relates to our board goals, the grades that we assign students, that's really a way that we communicate to our students and to their families their progress and their academic achievement. So in the process of creating guidelines that govern how we approach grading, that's really rooted in 3 things. First would be current best practice. So looking at kind of that research-based connection of how do grades impact student learning, what are they communicating to our students and to their families. It's also based on board policy, both EIA legal and local. So there's policies that govern the rules around giving grades to students, and also the Texas Education Code. Those are the 3 primary areas which we have to make sure that our local grading guidelines adhere to. So the thing that's tricky about our grading guidelines is that they have to work for students like this, And you see our esteemed superintendent there in the lovely hat. That's a great photo. But our grading guidelines have to work for our youngest students, and they also have to work for our biggest students, our oldest students as well. Here we see our CTE students in the culinary program that were providing lunch at our recent CTE Stakeholder Advisory Committee meeting. So as you can see, we serve a wide variety of ages and interests in our district, and our grading policy has to work for all of the students and all of the teachers that are a part of the work that we do. So in order to make that work, our grading guidelines are somewhat progressive in that in the early grades, in pre-K, kinder, and first, we're not actually giving numerical grades. We practice what's called standards-based grading. So that is a very intricate process of the teacher and the curriculum team actually looking at what are the most critical standards in those early grades. And they are not constantly, but they are very frequently monitoring student progress. So students have multiple chances and multiple opportunities to demonstrate mastery of those standards, and the goal is to get everyone to mastery. But in those early grades, that sometimes takes, the timeline to get there sometimes looks a little bit different. When our students start in second grade, they start receiving those traditional ABC 90-80 grades that we are accustomed to when we think about grading, but we have them equally weighted, meaning that we don't give more value to a daily grade than a test grade. It's all equal. And then when students go into third, fourth, and fifth grade, we start to see that differentiation in how we weight grades. But at that point, we're still looking at the daily grades weighing more heavily than the test grades. We're trying to not make testing a scary thing for kids. We're recognizing that the work that they do on a daily basis gives us a very cumulative picture of what students know and are able to do. And then that transitions our students into the middle years, into grades 6 through 8, where we start to have a 50-50 split, where 50% of their grade is weighted based on those daily work assignments, and 50% is based on major grades and assessments. Now, by nature, what starts to happen is you've got more daily grades than you do test grades. So even though they're equally weighted, those test grades have a little bit more influence on the student's final grade per grading cycle and for the semester. And that carries into our high school courses as well. Something I want to point out here is that high school courses start for some of our students in junior high. So when a student takes an on-level high school course, we still have that 50-50 grade split. However, for our advanced level courses, those would be honors, dual credit, and AP courses, we do have a 40-60 split, with 40% of the grade coming from the student's daily work and 60% coming from assessment grades. As our students come through the system and as they are getting ready to be college bound, we know that their ability to take tests, the importance of those tests, it begins to increase. And so we feel like this progressive system allows them to be ready for that by the time that they get there. So grading guidelines are something that just need to be revisited from time to time to make sure that we are staying current on best practices. So some work that's already been done is a review by our curriculum team of grading procedures across 18 districts. We looked at other districts in the state, some bigger than us, some smaller than us, but just to see how are we aligned and what other ideas are out there that we might want to talk about bringing into our system here in Whitehouse. Currently, we are forming a committee of admin and teachers and counselors to do a thorough look at what we have in place and possibly bring in some new ideas to refresh the grading policies. In January, that committee is going to start in earnest on that work, and the goal is to have guidelines revised and in place for implementation in the 26-27 school year. So that's an overview kind of what the guidelines are, our current work towards revision, and just our desire to kind of explore and make sure that we're still taking part in current best practices. So with that, I'm happy to have any discussion or questions that you guys might have about this process.
Say you've already been looking at the 18 other?
Yeah, we did last spring. We took a look at 18 different districts just to kind of make note of there's a lot of areas where we're aligned, of course, but there were some ideas and some ways that we thought we could maybe strengthen our current policy, kind of keeping student success, of course, at the forefront of what we're trying to achieve with our policies.
What we have right now is what we've had for how long?
We do revise it every year. So I would say 2 years ago, we made some changes around kind of giving some more grace as it relates to late assignments, making sure that there's provisions in place for makeup work. So they've remained relatively unchanged. However, we do revisit them every year. I would say, I don't know when the last time the board policy was adopted, but that was probably the last time that there was a major revision.
And this doesn't affect the ranking system? This is just
No,
evaluation
great
of the grading
question.
process,
Yeah, this
right?
is just taking a look at the practices that contribute to grading. So when we think about the students, 9 weeks grades, their semester grades, no, it does not impact the ranking process that we took a look at last year. Mm-hmm.
And I think this is something that came up last year as we talked to teachers and across the district, like how many grades do you put in the grade book a week? Because as Dr. Hiller mentioned, it is a communication tool that you are letting parents and guardians know how their student is performing. Well, if a teacher waits 3 weeks to put any grades in, we're not communicating anything. And you can imagine as a parent, all of a sudden your kid has 100, right? And then all of a sudden has 5 failing grades. We want to make sure that what's written is what we're doing and that we're communicating well and that our policies are matching our practices. So it's just a good time to kind of sit back and ask our teachers, what are we doing well and what do we need to improve on?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. 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 That's a great way to think about it as a framework. So really, it's very general. Those policies are very general, stating that we, as a district, have to have policies and procedures in place, and that we have to communicate those policies and procedures. Yeah. Just that, within a district, we have to have a fair and consistent way that we're applying grades, so that regardless of which elementary campus you're at, for example, we're following the same process for how we capture and record those grades.
I can see if someone's coming in as a transfer student,
Mm-hmm.
if their policies were markedly different.
Sure.
And they may be significantly different if we're doing something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a fair point. I will say policy also does address kind of when a student enters into the system and class ranking. I will also say that the good news too is that there's not anywhere where we're really out of misalignment with peer districts. But to speak to what Dr. Whittle was saying, like I can give you a concrete example of a grade being entered. Our students, if they fail an assessment, they're eligible for reteaching and reassessment, right? The policy says that they have 5 days from the time of the grade to come in and do that reteaching and take that reassessment. So sometimes you might have a teacher who interprets that very literally, like, well, I gave the test on Monday. I didn't put the grade in the grade book until Wednesday. The student didn't see their grade till Friday, but now it's too late. We don't want things like that to happen. So one of the policies that we saw in another district was explicit to say that it's 5 days from the date that the grade was entered in the grade book that the clock starts. So it's just kind of an opportunity to see, like, where do we have gaps? And that's where our teacher voice is so important, to say, like, hey, how are you interpreting this? How can we make this stronger and strengthen it so that, again, we're as consistent as possible?
Yeah, and I'll tell you just another example is, if you have an English 3 teacher on one side of the hallway and another English 3 teacher on the other side of the hallway, this teacher gives 20 points extra credit for a test because you brought Kleenexes, but this teacher doesn't. You can see kind of when you start thinking about class rank and GPA and so it's important that we come in and kind of establish some of these parameters. So it doesn't matter, the lottery doesn't matter. So when you get this English teacher, you still have the same expectation of grades, and so that there is a fair and level playing field, if that makes sense. So it's important to kind of go back, like some teachers will give a free 100 if you bring crayons to school. Other teachers don't. And then are you creating some
That's what I was kind of getting
Yeah.
at, even with transfer students, is
Yeah.
how do you know that whatever grade's coming in isn't a standardized grade from here to wherever they came from?
Question.
Absolutely.
Do we have, okay, so I understand these policies that you're talking about. What about for our teachers in posting these grades? That's something I hear periodically as a frustration from a parent or a student that, that grades don't get posted for X amount of time. Is there a
There is a guideline that's currently in our grading procedures manual. I believe that it is 5 days. I would have to confirm that to be 100% certain. But just like to Dr. Whittle's point about how sometimes teachers will give, bonus points or a free daily grade, our policy actually specifically, I'm going to use the word policy, and I mean not our board policy, but our grading procedures manual specifically specifies that we shouldn't do that, or that we don't do that. So, it's an opportunity to kind of revisit, like, yeah, it's 5 days, but does everyone know that it's 5 days? Right? So just an opportunity to kind of reset, build awareness, get feedback on the processes that are in place, again, so that we move forward with clarity, and hopefully a more even playing field across all of our teachers.
When you mentioned too that some students might take high school classes in junior high, like presumably algebra or something like that.
Yes, sir.
If you do that, and is that by definition an advanced class, or can that be an on-level class too if you're taking, say, algebra in 8th grade?
That's a great question, and something that we have somewhat taken a look at. So for algebra, for example, that is our advanced math track. And so currently, the Algebra 1 that we offer at the junior high is the honors level course. So if you're taking Algebra 1 as an 8th grader, you are taking the honors level course. And then we do allow our 9th graders to opt in to either the honors or the on-level course, depending upon their 8th grade math performance.
And then that would alter the percentage of day grades.
So yes, they would follow that 40-60 rather than the 50-50. But some of our CTE classes that we do offer at the junior high, those are just considered on-level classes, so they follow that 50-50. So that's kind of a long-standing practice and something that teachers are already accustomed to. Other questions? Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, you don't have to go very far, do you? So, all right. You want to update on some of our local policies?
All right, yeah, I got one more for you tonight.
All right.
All right, so, when we think about our vision in Whitehouse ISD, above all, students first, that's what guides the work that we do on a daily basis, but the day-to-day rules that we follow in the district, those are governed by our policy. And our policies are really what allow us to respond to the needs of our students and our community. So we have on the agenda tonight first reading of Policy Update 126. This is from a result of the 89th legislative session, which you may remember was a very active session for schools in the state of Texas. There were over 200 bills that were passed that impact the education landscape in our state, which resulted in over 140 legal codes that had to be updated. So TASB has been working on this Update 126 since June. Since the day that the session ended, they got busy and got to work updating these legal framework codes and as well as the corresponding local policies. So as a result, Update 126 is the largest update in TASB's history. It's actually almost double the size of the update following the 88th session. We shared that with our staff. It's well over 1,000 pages. So it takes a little time for us to work through that. Something that's a little bit different about this update as compared to prior updates is that there are so many changes in the law. And so while all of our local policies are not impacted by those legal changes, they do impact our daily work. And so it's a little bit heavier of a burden on our staff in terms of reading and understanding both those legal frameworks and those corresponding legal policies. So there are 28 policy changes that you'll see on the agenda. Again, I want to stress those are just the local policy changes. Everything else is legal framework that will also become a part of policy online for Whitehouse ISD. As we work through those over the next November, December, we'll come to you in January with a final product and ask you to accept those policies that are a part of Update 126. Let's see. Those policies have already been customized based on the needs of our district. So TASB assigns policy consultants to every district in the state. They're very well versed in our district's policies. And that's part of the reason there's that time lag between when legislation is passed and when we receive these policies in district, is because they comb through our policies individually to see how do we need to tweak these based on the policies that Whitehouse already has in place. So what we're going to bring to, what we are bringing to you and what we'll bring to you in January is a customized product. But over the coming weeks, our team's going to be working really hard to make sure that it fits our needs and working in close connection with our policy consultant if there's anything that we have questions about or feel like we might need to change. These 28 are in addition to the 4 that you guys approved in August prior to the start of school. And there are a few loose ends that will come in an Update 127 in early 2026. Thought I had one more, but I don't think I do. So with that, any questions about Update 126? Okay.
I'm sure we'll have some as it goes on, but
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you.
thank you very much. Brad's going to give us an update on school bus seat belts.
All right, good evening. So this Senate Bill 546 is part of that legislative update from this summer. And I would probably step out to say it's probably one of the more expensive ones for us. So bear with me. This is the first time I've ever done this. So all right.
Appreciate your doing it.
Yes, sir. All right, so the law, Senate Bill 546, it updates the transportation code, and it requires that districts must have 3-point seat belts for all passengers on school buses. And we have until September 1st, 2029 to come into compliance with that. There are some limited exceptions for this law. One is that the school district's budget is unable to purchase new buses to come into compliance with this law. And if the bus's warranty becomes void with putting those 3-point seat belts in place. So the determination of affordability, TA did give a little bit of clarity on that. The law requires the board to determine whether or not purchasing buses equipped with 3-point seat belts fits within the district's budget and plans to proceed with purchasing buses to come into alignment with that code. So that determination is actually we're going to ask you guys to make that at a later date. We're still digging through some of the information and gathering things. But the deadline to submit that determination to TA is at the end of this school year. So by the end of the school year, we would submit the report to TA and present information concerning our fleet, our school bus fleet, in a public meeting. That requires us to give specific information like how many buses we have, how many have seat belts, how many don't, how many have 3-point, how many have lap belts, and then the estimated cost for full compliance. So TA is going to collect all this data from districts across the state, calculate the costs, and then submit those to the lawmakers by January 1st of 2027. So here's the timeline, just to kind of put it up here for you. we're in the process right now of gathering the data, reporting it to you guys, and getting ready for TEA to do their thing. So, and then as you can see, full compliance is required by September 1st, 2029. All right, so just to give you guys a summary of what we have. All right, we have a total of 51 buses here in Whitehouse ISD. 41 of those buses are not equipped with any kind of seat belts at all. 8 have lap belts, and 2 buses have 3-point seat belts. Our plan to come into compliance is is a combination of purchasing new buses as we would normally through our school bus replacement cycle, just making sure that those do have 3-point seat belts. And then there's the rest of those, we would retrofit some of those buses, and I'll get to the some part here in a minute. And the estimated cost is between $1.6 million and $3 million. All right, so I wanted to give you some cost and some details. I'm not going to read all this, but just some cost and details when it comes to retrofitting. So in Whitehouse, we have 2 different types of school buses. We have the international school buses and Thomas buses. And it's important to know, based on the year model, make and model, what they're equipped with, what it requires to retrofit. So the newer buses, those require us to replace a seat back. Older buses, it's going to require us to replace the entire seats. And in some of those buses, many of especially older ones, will require replacing the entire floor. So I don't know if you know this or not, but a school bus floor is plywood with a piece of rubber stretched over it. So you see it's $10,000 here for a floor. So if we were to just retrofit all the buses that we currently have right now, based on the quotes that we've received from some of our vendors and manufacturers, we're looking at $1.6 million plus. And that's of those 30-day quotes. Those are certain to increase.
And the state's going to fund that, right?
We don't know yet. So some factors that we definitely have to keep in mind when retrofitting, supply and demand. We're told that it takes anywhere from 8 to 10 weeks just to get the new seats. And lots of other districts are needing this retrofitting too. So we also have to carefully schedule this out to make sure that we can still maintain all of our operations. And the work has to be done by certified shops so that warranties are not voided, but also that federal safety standards are still met. Selective retrofitting. In Whitehouse, the average lifespan of a bus is anywhere from 15 to 20 years. Many of our older buses are simply not worth investing $80,000 plus in. Okay, with these older buses, it's harder to find parts. The mileage is getting up there, and to replace a new engine, we replaced one this past summer, and it was $35,000, and that was for Lone Star to do that. Adding air conditioning, we added air conditioning to 5 buses this past summer, and that was about $15,000 per bus, which the drivers and students really like that a lot. So very thankful. Like I said earlier, new floor, you can see the cost, and then seat belts, just an average cost was about $33,000 per bus. The cost of new buses, back in 2008, you can see it was $77,000, and it's just gone up every year. And 2 years from now, they're estimating $200,000 plus. Now, that does come with a new Cummins engine that is supposed to have a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty on it. So some of that cost is definitely that warranty. Now, there are other options. There are gently used buses. I found a company out of Irving called Masters Transportation. They have a bus that the federal government leased and was used at Fort Hood for a while, and now it's for sale. So all the pictures, it looks great online, and it could save the district up to $30,000. And it comes with seatbelts. So, yes, NAC. All right, so the next steps.
But that's one bus, right?
That's just one, yes, sir. Next step, we're going to finalize our counts, and we're going to refine our cost information. And then at a later meeting, we'll have you guys, we'll present that to you and have you guys determine whether we can afford it or not. And then we'll submit all this information to TEA via Sentinel. Questions?
Dumb question.
Mhm.
So you get all these all these buses with seatbelts in them, so then do you have to mandate that the kids are wearing them?
Yes, so the education code requires school districts that if the bus is equipped with the seatbelts, that the students must wear them.
They have to have it on.
They have to have it on, yes.
Somebody on the bus making sure that every student is putting a bus on,
So,
a belt on?
so we're fortunate to have 25 monitors. And that's not morning and afternoon, but when I started this job, I think we had like 7 or 8, and now we have 25. And that's helped with lots of things like behavior. It helped, drivers don't feel like they're all alone out there with, 70 screaming kids behind them. But those monitors will have to make sure that they're wearing them and then go find a seat for themselves when the bus is moving.
But this is even like when the band travels to something, everybody's got to have their seatbelt on. And
Yes,
all
ma'am.
that.
Well, I think the big push behind this one was Hayes Consolidated ISD had an accident where a cement truck veered into a bus and hit it head on, and one student passed away. And so I think that was a big push there. I don't know about you, but like my Facebook feed's like full of bus wrecks, happening everywhere. So it knows where I'm at every day. Then.
You're out.
Well, I'm just thinking, some kids, I can imagine you can put 3 of some kids in a seat, and then
And
there's
2 of
others,
others.
children that is probably 2 per seat, so, but
Yeah.
I work with seatbelts.
Yeah, so yeah, the drivers and the monitors, they're going to know their kids. They're going to know how their sizes, and they'll know who they can fit 3 to a seat. They'll know who they can only fit 2 to a seat.
Some seats will only have 2 seatbelts, and
Yes,
some will,
Yep. And so it'll be so on the bus there's a little placard that says the maximum capacity on there, and so if it says 77, that's how many seatbelts will be.
Is there a formulaic on, or is it a pure judgment call on whether we determine we can afford this or not?
Well, the state is going to gather data from all the districts, and in 2 years, when they meet again, we're hopeful that they'll, give us some money to help support this, but it's unknown. So for us to afford it, I mean, I don't know.
Hey, Clint, what's going on, Clint? No, but I guess my question was, it sounded like there are some exceptions to whether you have to comply to this or not, right? So if we say, hey, we don't think we can afford this, we need our dollars elsewhere, we can opt out, or does that make sense? Or we don't know yet? Is that still up in the air?
When I read that, I don't read an opt-out option there.
I think they're trying to find out right now, can districts afford this on their own, or are they going to have to appropriate money to make this happen?
This is a big fact-finding mission at this point.
It is, yes, sir. And they've
Okay.
actually slow-played and changed the timeline and the expectations for us. We wanted to get this in front of you guys, just so you know, kind of, not to go backwards here, but this is just another example of partially funded or not funded mandates that stretch our budget, that makes the job a little bit more challenging. So we're hopeful that they're taking a minute to ask some questions instead of just blanket go do this. I'm with Matt. I'm hopeful that all the districts say they don't have the money to do it, and the state comes in and says, well, here's some money for it. But
I think it was by design that they have that deadline of September 1st of '29. That gives 2 more legislative sessions for them to potentially
The can.
assess and appropriate.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
thanks, Matt.
Thank you very much. And that takes us to the annual review of board operating procedures. So I guess you're on.
Yes, sir. Dr. Avi, trustees, as you know, every year we ask you guys to approve your board operating procedures. We've shared those with you multiple times and just ask for you tonight to adopt those and consider no changes as they are.
Takes us to our action items, and the first one is our consent agenda. You've all had the consent agenda, and do you have any questions or comments about the consent agenda? Okay. Motion to accept the financial reports and approve the remaining consent items as presented. Okay, motion made by Mr. Flanagan, second by Dr. Conflitti to approve the consent agenda. All in favor? All right, motion carries. Do we need a motion on the board procedures, or is that, I don't think we do, do we? So that will take us to the reports of the superintendent, and just, I know you want to give us a little report on the election, that sort of thing too, but I'd just take a minute to say thank you. Because of the 8 elections that I know of in East Texas for voter-approved tax ratification election, ours is the only one that passed. Yes, thank you. And I mean, I think that's due to the efforts of a lot of people, but nobody worked harder at it than Casey did. I don't even know how many presentations he made to different organizations, but it was 2 or 3 a week. And so, I mean, that doesn't go unnoticed, and we really appreciate it because it makes a huge difference for our kids. It makes a huge difference for our teachers. It makes a huge difference for our program. And so I just, a lot of people put a lot of effort into it. I know Jim and your group put a lot into it, but nobody put more effort into it than Casey. And every vote really did count because I think that passed by 51 votes. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to you guys for your support and vision and guidance and direction, and thanks to all the folks in the audience that when I took the job, one of the reasons I wanted to take the job is because I'd heard that Whitehouse takes care of each other, and we take care of the school. And when the school's in need, we rally as a community and come together. And even though it was close, I'm just thankful for our community and our supporters of our school district for coming together and helping us navigate some of the financial hardships that we find ourselves in, that the state has helped us get into a little bit. But I'm just thankful that we said yes for kids, and we said yes to make sure that we can keep interventionists that love kids, that are kid by kid, skill by skill every single day. And that makes a difference, and what they said is exactly right. I couldn't have said it any better. We look at every kid and we find out exactly what they need, and we make them feel like they can climb any mountain and achieve any goal and be successful. And so I'm thankful for our community that said yes, and thank you for your support, and thank you for your guidance. And I'm just really proud of our community and the people that live in it. So thank you. And then last, I was going to say, just as a reminder, December, we did not have a board meeting, and so our next board meeting will be in January as well. So, thank you.
Thank you again. All right, and last thing on the agenda is to adjourn. Anybody have a motion to adjourn? Mr. Moss, second by Mr. Flanagan. All in favor? We are adjourned.